He's in the room, so
That's all I
you
care
just
about.
go to
He's in
him
the
and-
room.
go to him and make it work.
Yeah, I think that's the best way.
Okay.
Is everybody here?
I think
All
so.
right, great. Thank you for being so patient out there with us. Next, approval of the agenda. Any changes on that for next week? Minutes of the previous meeting. Any questions, concerns? Next is communications. Did we receive any communications? Actually, I received one today from Dave Lowry. Apparently Linda Hoffman, Area 1 Director, will be stepping down. Am I hearing something? Okay. And he will be running and is asking for our support. Did everybody get this or was it just me?
I did receive it today also.
Okay, so I hate to see Linda go. She's been an institution there for a while. Anyone else have anything
I didn't check my mail today.
as far as communications? I have heard from some parents, I think we all have, about busing and the changes we're going to make. Anything else? All right, that leads us to our first session. Any takers? Before I go through my long spiel. No takers. I like that. Well, no, I don't. I like to hear from you. Next is unfinished business. We have none, and that takes us to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Jason. So my computer needed a reboot, but we have some special guests in our audience tonight that we're very excited to have with us. Sweet Home was well represented on the state level in several athletic events and sports. And we have some coaches in the audience tonight, but the board would like to recognize our young people, our young student athletes who've represented us so well at the state level this year. And we're just really, really excited to be here. So I don't know if Mr. Lilly wants to come up first and present.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, board. I appreciate you for having me this evening. I'm the varsity wrestling coach. My name is Don Lilly. I've been here for over 10, 12 years almost, coaching in the district. I'm here to present on a special young man tonight, Cameron Millender. I've coached for 6 years. He had a losing record season year after year after year. And once COVID kind of stopped wrestling for a while, Cameron bought into what we wanted to do. We saw the athleticism, we saw the pure talent in him, and we took him to the state tournament 2 years in a row. Last year, he was a state rep for the first time. He got to see the bright lights. He wrestled the first round, had a pin in the first round, and did not place in the state tournament. This year was our goal. He had some goals to come back. One of them was to win the section, be a state place finisher, and get on that podium. So quick little story. The sectional finals, he was the favorite, and we lost to a young man from North Tonawanda High School. It was a heartbreaker, but being second, it still got him into the state tournament this year. So we talked a lot about that loss and redemption and what he needed to do to get on that podium. And Cameron did that in his, we call it the blood round, the round to place in the state tournament, which is a very tough round. Cameron wrestled that kid from NT. We won 6-5. It was his 100th win. He broke a school record on that win, and he was the first student athlete in 24 years from Sweet Home to place in the wrestling state championships. So without further ado,
Hey,
I'd like to present this award on behalf of the board to Cameron Millender.
Yeah, you do. Congratulations, Cameron.
Congratulations, very impressive, guys.
Congratulations, Cameron. Thanks for representing us so well.
Is a wrestling family member? That makes me so proud.
Great job.
Congratulations. Congratulations, coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Who's up next? Track coach?
Yes, Coach McPeak.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Lilly.
The last time we had a wrestling state finisher, when, I'm gonna ask Scott
99.
Tater.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate this. our athletes worked really hard this year. I have to say that out of all the years I've been coaching here quite a while. I kind of lost count how many years it's been, but this is one of the nicest groups I've ever had the time to teach. I mean, they're dedicated. They have gratitude. They bring everything every day. They bring 100% to the team every day. And I'm just so proud that I have this opportunity to share with these athletes. So a couple of our athletes are not here today. We don't have Amari here right now, but she did an excellent job this season. She was not only number one in our section for long jump and triple jump, but she was also a lead anchor or lead runner in our 4x2 relay. So she's an exceptional athlete, and I wish that she could be here. Unfortunately, she could not get out of other commitments. So we miss her. I would like to present an award to Adriana Ellsworth. She's a senior this year. She's been with the team since she was in 7th grade. She's a scholar athlete. She's our captain. She represents us in not only high jump, but she can run everything from a 4x2 to a 4x1 to even an 800 when she wants to do pentathlon. So she's an exceptional all-around person, and it's just been an honor to have her on the team. Congratulations, Adriana.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
This is incredible because there's so many of my athletes here. I just absolutely love them. Taylor Nugent, as she's been with us again since I believe she came up as an 8th grader, and she's just been an exceptional distance athlete. And last year she decided that she wanted to not only try high jump, which she did very well, but she also wanted to try race walking. So we kind of worked at it for a little while. She got pretty good. She qualified. And then this past summer, she actually worked under another coach in our area who's an official, and he helped to really hone her skills in race walking. And she's very persistent. She comes every day. She's got her schedule. We worked on a schedule last year, and she's been kind of following that as far as training. And sure enough, guess what? She comes in number 2 at states, right? You came in for our section, you were number 2, right? Yep. And then you came in 7th place at states, and she broke our record, our Sweet Home record. So every athlete that breaks a record here, I buy them a brick with their name on it so we can put it in. And I know that the money goes back to our scholarships. So that's pretty fabulous. And I just want to buy lots of bricks this year. So Taylor has earned herself a brick. And not only did she break the record at states, she broke it again. She rebroke it at nationals. So she came in 7th place at nationals. She's on her way to being the top in our country. Like, she's really, really an exceptional athlete. And she can also throw javelin. So, she looks like mild mannered, but yeah, she can throw the javelin. So. Taylor, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Taylor, is that mom? Get a picture with Mr. Genestri.
Oh.
At least getting is that
We'll
mom
get them
back
all.
there?
Yeah,
We'll get 'em all?
We'll get them all.
Okay.
But we'll,
All
yeah.
right, congratulations. Can never
Oh, we
forget
never.
those
We gotta get the pictures.
Congratulations.
pictures. Love the pictures.
Never.
I'm sorry, you guys are going to get your workout today.
We like the
This is good.
All right. Next up, Brenton Baker. Oh my goodness. So Brenton, his first year with us was last year for outdoor spring, correct? Yes. And then this year was his first indoor season. And so in the beginning of the season, he was recovering from an injury, but every single day he came in, he worked out, he followed his program. And as soon as he started feeling better, he was able to run with us. And then I think he had a conversation with his mom, and his mom is like, I think you should try high jump. And he's like, And guess what? He is number 1 in our section. He came in number 1 in the state and number 10 at nationals. He also broke our record in high jump. So his highest jump is 6'7", right? 6'8" right now. Yes. So he broke our record, and I know that 7 feet and over is in his ability this year. Like, Brenton really has what it takes, and his attitude is just wonderful. So he's got this infectious positive attitude that everybody just feels so happy when they're around him. And Brenton, congratulations, honey. Come on up.
Did he get a brick? Did he get a brick?
Oh, yes. Brenton, yes.
Is he gonna get a brick every time he
Yes.
breaks the brick?
Brenton might have a road. Yeah. Yeah, so what I neglected to say is that not only is he a great jumper and sprinter, but he can also run distance. So I haven't seen an event yet that he cannot do, but he prefers sprinting. So I don't think he really wants to do distance right now. Next, we have Neil Studemeyer. Come on up. Oh my gosh. I want Neil to stand next to me when I tell him how proud I am of the person that he is and the leader that he has become. He is my go-to. I can always look to him to help in whatever capacity we need. He brings it every single day. You can always find him in the weight room. After a workout, he's continuing his own workout. So he just missed states last year. And at first we thought he was going because he made the 3rd place, like it's like super qualifying time for indoor for the 55-meter dash. And he missed it by 1/1000th of a point. So it came where he had a tie. And for about 45 minutes to an hour, we thought he was going, and he deserved to go. So it was a heartbreak to have him not go. And this year he made it all the way. I'm so proud of him. He's he's an anchor for our 4x2 relay. He will be an anchor again for our 4x1 outdoor. Not only can he sprint, but he can also jump. This year he worked very hard at running the 55 and the 300. And I'm just so excited to be able to present him with this because he's worked very, very hard. Neil, thank you so much.
Congratulations, Neil. Nice job. Great job. Thank you.
Great job. Congratulations.
So next we have his brother, Cameron Studemeyer. Congratulations, Cam. Cam has been with us since he was a 9th grader. So he is a junior now, and we're excited to have him for another year. He's an exceptional sprinter. Again, he's taking on leadership roles like his brother. He's following in his footsteps, but he's also becoming his own person. And he's proving that he made it to states this year. And it was incredible because he also made that super qualifying mark. So he comes every day and is very dedicated and works very hard. I can't say enough nice things about our team this year. If you ever have an opportunity to stop in on a practice, you should come in and check them out and see what they're doing. You'd be really, really impressed with their work ethic. But Cameron, come on up and congratulations, honey.
Congratulations, Cameron. Love to get sharing. Good job.
Congratulations.
My next athlete I'd like to honor is Irvin Myrie. Irvin's been with us for quite a few years now. I think since you were a freshman, right? Sophomore, okay. And now he's a senior. We're really going to miss you and your leadership. Irvin started in basketball this season, but he was a dual athlete, and he ended up coming back to track. And we're really happy that he did because he's a large fact, a reason why our 4x2 relay does so well. Not only does he participate in the relay, he also qualified in the 55-meter dash. So he's very, very fast. He can jump if he wants. So it just depends on, what events he chooses at the time, but whatever he chooses, he always excels. And again, another wonderful leader on our team. We're really going to miss you, Irvin. I'm so happy we have you for spring, but come on up and congratulations.
Welcome. Great job, Irvin. Great job. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
And last but not least, Michael Evans. Oh my goodness, my sweetheart, come on over, please. I just love Michael. Michael is an absolute joy to coach. He's willing to put in whatever it takes to help his team win. He's a contributing member to our 4x2 relay. You'll see him in the 4x1. He's super fast in the 100, the 55. He could probably jump if he wanted to. He's just an outstanding person to know and love. And I'm really happy that you're part of our team because you bring us closer and happier. And congratulations. And I want to see you at States.
Congratulations, Michael. Thank you. Good job.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
So we're also missing Elias Day, and I wish he could have been here. He also qualified in long jump, triple jump. He was a contributing member to our 4x2 relay. He'll be a contributing member in our 4x1 relay. He can run the 100. Elias is just an absolute exceptional athlete. You would just love him. I wish he could have been here. He couldn't get a ride. So anyway, thank you so much for having us today. And I hope you have the time to come and see our athletes at work because they are really, really amazing people. So thank you for the opportunity. Have a great night.
Want to say congratulations to Coach McPeak and Coach Lilly. We know the work that you have to put in to have state qualifying and state champions. And it's not just during the season. We know the time you're putting in the off season as well. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us at the district for your efforts, because I wish we could have all board meetings like this. This was great, where we recognize our student athletes and their contributions to Sweet Home, but we also have to say special thank you to their coaches too, because without you, we wouldn't be here tonight. So thank you. And their parents. Yes, absolutely. So this would be a good time unless everybody wants to stay and hear about the budget. You don't all get up at once, but if you want to stay for the budget, you are more than welcome.
Mr. Genestri,
Yes.
aren't you going to do the picture?
Oh, we need to do pictures.
Yes,
Yes, yes, yes.
picture.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Tadley.
Wait, don't go yet. Don't go.
We're gonna take a picture of all of you.
Picture.
You gonna go out in the hall?
Oh,
Come on, Mr. Feldman. You usually do this out in the hall.
I think you can do it right here.
yeah.
We're right here then. To stand up or hide?
get all the athletes like right here.
How about we're not in the picture?
You just sit in front of the board.
We stand in front, yeah.
Too short to stand with these kids. I know.
No, it's all about them.
I was just gonna move
We're
out of
gonna
the
let
way.
you guys.
Want to be in the picture?
Not the picture. Not the-
Mike needs to be in the picture.
Genestri in the picture. He's the superintendent.
40+ years behind me.
Coach, you need to get in.
Let's open up our certificates so we can see them and not the same. Can you open your certificate? Good. There we go. I'm free, everybody. One.
Yay.
Yes.
$6 My son is 6'4". I can't imagine him being able to jump over him.
That's so crazy.
Like, I'm thinking about how tall my son is and he can jump over him. With him just barely-
I tried.
Thank you.
I tried high jump when I used to
No,
do
you
outdoor.
can't.
It's so
He's still
difficult to
recovering
me,
from kickball.
especially because
He did.
you're running.
Yes,
So you have to put all of your effort into jumping up instead of jumping forward. And that's so hard to do. So 6'8" is insane. The fact that this is his first season doing high jump is
We're not want to wrestle that.
it's insane.
I don't know why they
I
left. The
remember on
budget is
Instagram
so
they posted like
interesting.
one meet.
I can't believe everybody left.
I know. It's the best part of the
So
night.
exciting. Everybody leave.
Right?
We'll have a couple.
I remember they
Can I start?
recorded the video and they posted it all over.
All right, well, we'll bring it back. It's a tough act to follow after a bunch of state athletes, of which I never was, which is probably a good thing. But we are here to talk about our 2023, 2024 budget process. This is our second meeting. We initially were with you guys a little over a month ago. And we've got some more information to share and an idea to present related to the budget. I'll walk through these first slides pretty quickly. These are just some important dates as we go through. Our final tax cap calculation was due to the state on March 1st. We submitted that tax cap calculation. You'll see in a few short slides that we had 3 minor tweaks to that tax cap calculation from whence we last saw you in February. School board candidate nominating petitions are due on April 17th. The term of Mr. Johnson is up on June 30th
23.
of 2023. What did I say? Oh, 2022.
I figured the star
There's
was
a little,
there. so-
if you haven't turned in your petition yet, you're a little late.
Yeah.
Mr. Genestri is gonna change that for us. Thank you. So the last date for the board to adopt the proposed budget would be April 21st of 2023. Our property tax report cards are due to the state on April 24th. Our public hearing on the adopted budget can be anywhere from May 2nd to May 9th. Ours is scheduled for May 2nd. And the annual budget vote and school board election is May 16th, right here in this room from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So where have we been so far? This is kind of our own internal timeline as to what we've done. We really started the budget discussion process actually even earlier. We started meetings with administrators and department heads just before Christmas break, the holiday break. And have really gone through that and talked with all of our administrators and department heads about budgetary needs for next year. We've looked at and had our initial BOCES participation meeting, and we've met with our financial advisor to review our aid projections, some of which is good news that we'll share with you tonight. And then our debt service. We did have, as I mentioned before, our first budget study session back in February on the 11th of February. Where we presented really what we call a program maintenance budget. It's a rollover budget from year to year. Tonight, we're talking about really pretty close to what we would put forth in terms of a budget to our voters in May. And then we'll have one last crack at it on Tuesday, April 11th, as we talk about the final budget. By that point in time, hopefully New York State has finalized their budget. Knock on wood. Yes, Mr. Johnson. We have final state aid runs and we can present a budget for the board to adopt potentially on April the 18th. And again, our public hearing is on May 2nd. Our Meet the Candidates night goes along with that. And then the budget vote is on May 16th.
Can you just mention one more time what people need to do to vote, to be able to vote?
I'm sorry,
Just mention if
you need to
wanna
be
vote.
the age of 18. You need to live in the district for 30 days. You need to present a form of ID that says that you live in the district. Oh, blue is a bad choice on this. Sorry, I apologize. It doesn't show up really well. But this is kind of Kind of our guidelines as we build a budget. We work to establish boundaries of the budget. From a programmatic standpoint, we look at class sizes. And then really it's a balance between a budget that maintains our core programming that we're known for, as well as being fiscally responsible. We've never gone above the tax cap. I don't anticipate we'll go above the tax cap this year, but that's something that we work very hard to make sure that we maintain a budget that does fall below the tax cap. We have to look at the revenue side, state aid, which we'll talk about, sales tax receipts, and then projecting expenses based upon enrollment and staffing, salaries, contracts, benefits, and we make some assumptions, obviously, as we get into contract negotiation season. And then, we project our bottom line, which you'll see here shortly, and then consider alternatives or set priorities as to how we want to move forward. So when we left you in February, we looked at a program maintenance budget with everything considered on the revenue side of $97,673,142, which presented as an increase from budget year to budget year of 9.3%. We presented to you a tax levy of $57,133,142, which was an increase of 7.1%. And we presented a budget, a program maintenance budget, just a flat rollover budget of $96,645,888 on the expense side, or an increase of 8.1%. In February, we projected that we'd have, based upon these numbers, a surplus of a little over $1 million. So this was the last slide. I just pulled this from the last presentation, and just to kind of give you an update as to where we are in our process. We needed to determine if the board wanted to go to the tax cap. It was fairly clear to us that the board wanted to maintain a budget that was below the tax cap. We needed to prioritize some additional staffing needs and get those into the budget. You'll see that we've done that. We needed to monitor any updates on state aid, particularly our building aid, as it relates to our current capital project and sales tax projections. As I mentioned, we needed to continue to kind of work and monitor our contractual negotiations. We are in the midst of a contract negotiation with our teachers unit. And then we needed to, we talked a little bit about in February, these next two bullet points about the influx over the last couple of years, the federal funds, and how it relates to our flexibility to be able to use those federal funds for salaries versus fund balance. And then we needed to finalize our BOCES participation numbers. We've done that. And then we were waiting for information on the New York 44 Trust health insurance to see if there's an increase. We just received those today at about 3:35 today. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a coming slide. But and then we needed to kind of take back feedback that we got from you in February, adjust the budget, and report back to you, which is what we're doing tonight. So from a revenue side of the budget, as you all know, there are four areas that impact the revenue side of the budget. The first is state aid, including all of our expense-driven aids, building and transportation, most predominantly. Our real property taxes, the tax cap and pilots, sales tax, and the use of reserves to close potential budget gaps. One of the things that we are seeing now in the proposed budget, the governor last year made a promise that all school districts would be fully funded for basic foundation aid, and the state aid runs indicate that we will be, and then some. So we have realized a significant gain in basic foundation aid, which you'll see here shortly. Speak of the devil. So here we are from a state aid standpoint. I don't want to read through all of them. I just would really like to kind of bring to your attention really the top three. Basic foundation aid. We are seeing an increase in basic foundation aid from $17.5 million that we expect to receive during the course of this school year to over 21.6, almost $21.7 million. So that funds us fully, as well as based upon our wealth ratio enhances our state aid. So that obviously is a significant increase of over $4.1 million in basic foundation aid from one year to the next. Yes, sorry,
Is that
Scott.
potential to go up again after, since our student population has gone up after the
Yes.
October report?
Yes, so state aid, it really, you know, and I think we were at the same presentation with Rick Timms. We are in a spot where our enrollment continues to go up and our wealth ratio continues to go down. So I would expect that our state aid would continue to climb. What I will also say too, at the very least, if, you know, the state promises a 3% increase regardless.
I think the past 2 years, there's been a 3%, the governor has promised a 3% increase at least for every district.
Yes.
So hopefully that continues to be.
Yep. So the next line down, the increase in excess costs and transportation aid, again, that's a significant increase for us. It's over $700,000. That is in direct correlation to the increased amount of contracted transportation runs that we are presently doing. Remember, expense-driven aids are kind of a year behind. So it's based on our aid next year is based on what we expend this year. So our contracted transportation costs have gone up significantly. We were about $1.2 million, between 1.2 and 1.4 last year. I expect that we will approach $3 million in contracted transportation this year, which will directly correlate to the increase in aid. And then lastly, that third line down, the building aid. When we came to you in in February, the executive run had a building aid projection for us of $1.625 million. Based upon our conversations with our financial advisor, as well as some things that have transpired since. We've closed out, we've submitted a final cost report for phase one of our $20 million capital improvement project that would push our building aid over about $2.2 million. We also anticipate closing, knock on wood, Mr. Johnson, our phase two of our project by the time school rolls around in September. So those two items would significantly increase our building aid receipts from about a little over $2 million this year to about $3.3 million next. So in totality, we expect to see an increase of state aid, foundation aid, and some of our expense-driven aids in the neighborhood of an increase of over $6 million, $6,034,000 to be exact. Our total aid that is presently in the budget you see there is $32 million. $32.126 million. So again, an increase of about a little over $6 million. So the next piece of it is our tax cap. Our tax cap rounds out to a little different than what we presented to you in February. Our tax levy limit based upon the tax cap is $57,118,839, which represents about an increase of 7.1% from year to year. Significantly higher than the 2% that everybody talks about. But it's worth reminding that there are exclusions, they call tax cap exclusions in the tax cap calculation, most notably debt service and construction. We have an increase of $1.4 million in our debt service payments from year to year. So that is an exclusion, and that directly increases our tax cap number. We have an increase in the cost of our bus purchases of $222,000 from last year. We are, and I'll talk about this in a coming slide, but we are recommending that we purchase 4 large and 2 small buses. And then our pilots, we've gotten some increased revenue in pilots from what we originally presented to you. We had $529,000 in pilots. We are now up to $590,000. So that brings our number down a little bit. And we also got our tax cap exclusion number from BOCES as it relates to their capital improvement project. Our tax cap exclusion number is actually negative because the scope of their project has shrunk a bit. So our tax cap exclusion number for the BOCES project is negative $28,303. So it's shrunk our tax cap levy number slightly to $57,118,839.
Mr. Feldman,
Yes, sir.
line H on here, I mean, it talks about the consumer price index. We all know that it's well above 2%. Can I assume this is the place where the 2% factors into the?
That's correct. That's correct. It's 2%. That's what it is. It's either what the CPI actual number is or the maximum of 2%.
Thank you.
And then from us, from a big standpoint in terms of revenues, are our sales tax. Sales tax is distributed by the county quarterly. We have not gotten our third quarter sales tax allocation as of yet. That generally comes at the end of this month. But you can see how last year we tracked. The Q4 was the biggest quarter for us. We ended up at a little over $4.9 million in sales tax revenue. Presently, right now, if you extrapolate a little bit, we're at about $2.1 million at the halfway marker. So we've extrapolated that out to $4.25 million. I would anticipate that we might tweak that a little bit for you next month based upon the Q3 report and based upon past practice. We're conservative now, but that's an area where we think that we can grow significantly. Presently, we have budgeted $4.25 million on the revenue side. So in the end, this is a little hard to see, so I apologize, but this is kind of our revenue snapshot as to where we are right now. We have potential revenues for the 23-24 school year of $99,333,839, which is an increase of $9.982 million or 11.2%. So any questions on the revenue side right now at all before I jump to the expense side?
All those grants and things that we put in for all our COVID stuff, did we get all of that back yet?
So for FEMA,
Yes.
yes. So we've received, the federal government has just announced that FEMA ends officially May 15th or something along those lines. We have one project that's left that we are appealing, and we feel pretty good about the appeal. It's a little over $70,000 for, if you think back, we had to serve meals. So it was some supplies related to meals, as well as there was an executive order from the governor to provide childcare to first responders. So we're going through the appeal process right now. So that's about $73,000. We've realized a little over $300,000 in recouped costs. So we put in, I don't know the number off the top of my head. It was a little over $500,000. So we got about 60% of the money that we asked for back. And it's a process, but it's something that we're pretty proud of.
And that's all figured into?
It wouldn't be figured into this budget. It's included as part of this current budget because it's when you receive the money.
What about if you do receive that appeal one?
Mm-hmm. It depends upon the time.
We get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So on the expense side, some of the things that we've done since February, We've looked more closely at the BOCES budget. If you remember back in February, there were some administrative costs that we hadn't heard from BOCES yet. We've added $50,000 to the BOCES budget. That includes those increased administrative costs over than what we had originally anticipated. It also includes a new technology software purchase for applicants and applicant tracking. So that we've increased that budget by $50,000. As I told you, we've increased our bus purchase line to about $80,000. Last year it was 516,000. This year we're going to 738,000. We initially came to you in February and said we'd like to purchase three large buses and 2 small. In some conversations with Mr. Kennedy behind us, we have a relatively new bus, unfortunately, that is falling out of warranty, that has been off the road for a significant amount of time. And thankful that we have the warranty. Otherwise, it would have cost us significant money. And in some conversations that Scott and I have had, we feel as though it's better to kind of cut bait right now. The bus company is giving us an excellent trade-in value, you see there, of $72,000 that we'll use towards a new large bus, so that we won't incur costs going down the road.
Is this a bus that is in some kind of disrepair or just kept breaking?
Scott, I'll let you speak to that. I'm losing my voice.
This is a bus that was purchased about three and a half years ago. And it is having a constant warranty issue with the NOx sensor and the way that the DEF fluid is being added into the.
Marianne's got that.
Okay. Bottom line is it after repeated service calls, both at our warranty center and people coming to our facility, they still can't get it fixed. It's one of 2 buses. The second bus is not as bad, but has thrown a few codes. This one has been off the road more than it's been on the road in the past 6
How
months.
much did we pay for it initially?
That was before Scott. I don't know.
Probably in the neighborhood of about 120, 130,000.
We're getting something back with, if it's
Yes.
been off the road more than it's been on.
Yes. It's going to become, when it falls out of warranty, it's going to become a money pit for us. So my suggestion was to get rid of it. They offered us a fair number toward getting a new, slightly larger bus. We're going from a 66 passenger to a 70 passenger bus in this number.
Is it traditional that we get warranties with our bus purchases?
5-year warranty on all of
You
our
pay
buses.
extra for that?
No, it's generally.
I don't believe so.
Okay. So it's a lemon.
Yeah.
Well, it's a strong word, but
It's-
it's a problem.
No, it's a great bus. It's a great bus. I use it myself. And this talk about buses doesn't include any of our future electric that we're talking about.
No, not yet, not yet. No, that'll be next year. We're getting closer.
Oh,
So that includes an increase of about $80,000 in terms of buses. We are adding an increase to our budget line for contracted transportation, just based upon where we're trending of $100,000. The debt service number has increased along with the building aid increasing. Our debt service payment has increased because phase 1 of the project is hitting the books. So our debt service has increased $1.4 million. And then we're also going to increase our safety and security guards line by about $25,000.
Is that just cost of living for safety and security?
Yep.
Or
Yep.
are we additional services?
No, we're not doing anything additional. The armed security guards, they're going to get about a $5 an hour raise. And then the unarmed security guards are a prevailing wage. So we have to wait till July to see that.
Don?
Yes.
With the change in the debt service, does that change anything on our capital reserve fund, how we're spending that out?
We've increased, that's a great question. So we've worked to try and kind of keep it as level as we can in conversation with our financial planner. We've just added, it was about $10,000 from what we initially thought this time around. And then we have plans to go forward for the next 3 years to spend it down completely.
Okay.
So not a huge change, but one that just kind of levels things out a little bit more. So in addition to, you know, kind of the day-to-day expenses, we talked to you a little bit last time about kind of a laundry list of some changes in staffing, but these are our staff that we are recommending and that I have put into the budget. So we do have 2 elementary retirements. We anticipate replacing those with 2 brand new teachers. There might be some discussion kind of going forward. We haven't really kind of finalized that yet about they are new teachers in the budget. There may be some ways to work with that through attrition and things along those lines. So that's one area that we'll work at. But that's $100,000 savings. We're adding a new 811 classroom at Willow Ridge, which is 1 special education teacher and 2 aides, which is a $100,000 addition. We are adding a district-wide behavior specialist through BOCES.
What is that exactly? How is that different from our other professionals that we use?
Toya, would you like to
Yeah,
speak to that?
So this person works very closely with the data teams and the teacher teams to really work out plans, monitor those plans, make sure that there's a time period that we're assessing and then going back and modifying.
So
So,
for behavioral
yes.
type?
Yeah.
And Don, you
yeah.
mentioned that classroom over at Willow Ridge. Do we have the space to
We do.
add
We do.
over there where
Mhm.
we're not going to be
Nope.
crunching?
No, we're good as far as space goes. That's one building that we're pretty good on space. We look to add a 0.5 addition to an E&L teacher that will cover both the middle and the high school. That's a $25,000 addition. Increase a 0.8 tech teacher to a full-time tech teacher, which is $10,000. A 0.5 social worker at the elementary level to increase from the current 0.5 to make it a full-time position. And that's roughly a $25,000. An additional 0.3 for speech at the elementary level. We do have our current principal of curriculum and instruction is retiring, and we look to replace that with a new administrative position. We believe that'll be about a $40,000 savings. And then we do anticipate hiring a full-time communication specialist on the SHASA contract, and that would be about $73,000 of an add. So those are what we know. We still don't know a couple of things that will have a significant impact on our budgeting process. As I mentioned, we are in a collective bargaining discussion with our SHAE group, our teacher group. There's 385 or so members in the group. We've made some assumptions that we've shared with you previously about that from a budgeting perspective. Obviously, we'll monitor that closely right up until it's time for you all to adopt the budget on April 18th, I think it is, somewhere in that neighborhood. But if there are any movements or we get a sense of kind of where things are heading, we'll tweak accordingly. And then the other piece is from the trust, the New York 44 Trust Health Insurance. We are, as you all know, part of the New York 44 Health Trust to provide health insurance to our employees. We have estimated an increase of 3% in our health insurance, which translates to about $310,000. When I did this slide on Friday, we didn't have numbers. We have numbers today. We got numbers a little bit after 3 o'clock today. And it really, there are increases. It just depends upon which plan we're talking about. From an enrollee and a spouse plan, so husband and wife partner, domestic partner, 1% of an increase. A single plan is a 1.5% increase. The why can't I say enrollee? Enrollee and child is a 4% increase plan, and then the family plan is about a 4.5% increase. So based upon that and our numbers, I think that number is probably pretty close to an increase. If you aggregate it all out, I think we're fairly close. We'll obviously take a closer dive into it. Didn't have time to do it this afternoon, but we'll take a closer dive in it and take a look at it and see if there's any savings to us there or if we have to tweak the budget. So this is where we're at right now, based upon everything that we've talked about. Again, we have on the revenue side, we have $99,333,839, or an increase of 11.2%. Our local tax levy, our tax cap number is $57,118,839, or an increase of 7.1%. Our budgeted expenditures as we sit here today, right now, based on everything that I've given to you, is $96,712,887, or an 8.2% increase. So if you do the math and you subtract, we are at a $2,620,952 surplus as we sit right here. Okay. So from a program, kind of a maintenance from this budget standpoint, where we are with tax rates. Now, I always caution everybody, this is keeping assessed values at the 2022 level. We don't have that information yet. The equalization rate on the Amherst side is 74%. The equalization rate on the Tonawanda side is 29%, which is what we use to figure our tax rates back in August. So these would be tax rates based on going to the full 23-24 tax cap number of $57,133,142. So on the Amherst side, for an average home assessed at $150,000, tax rate would go from the present year of $15.68 to $16.80. Which would translate to a tax bill of $2,520, or an increase of $168. On the Tonawanda side, on an average home, again, at an equalization rate of 29%, the tax rate would increase from $40.25 this year to $43.12 next year, translate to a bill of $2,393, or an increase of $158. That is going right to the tax cap, that going right to 7.1%. Next slide, please. So this one is kind of a snapshot of what it would take to balance the budget, okay? So based upon that $96 million, $96,712,887 expense side, we would need to raise, in terms of a tax levy, $54,497,887, which would translate to a home in Amherst, a tax rate of $16.03, an increase from $15.68, a calculated tax bill of $2,405, or an increase of $53. On the Tonawanda side, the tax rate would translate to $41.14, again, an increase from $40.25, translate to a tax bill of $2,283, or an increase of $49 on the Tonawanda side. So now, in light of where we are, I've talked to Mr. Genestri, and I want to float an idea to you that I think if there's ever a year to do it, this is the year to do it. I'm proposing that we consider a tax neutral budget. As you've seen, we have an increase in our state aid of over $6 million. Our budget increase is about almost 8%. In light of the economy and where we're at, given that, most everybody's operating under an 8 to a 9% inflation rate, I think that it would be prudent if we at least have a discussion about this and take a look at this. So a tax neutral budget simply means keeping the tax levy at a level that we are at presently, which is $53,321,588. So assuming that we have a balanced budget at that $96,712,000 that I told you about before, we'd have to trim $1,176,299 from our levy to have a tax neutral budget. So one of the things that we could look at, obviously, in terms of potential savings, I felt pretty good about the New York 44 Trust until today, that I thought we might realize some savings there. We may still realize some. It obviously won't be $310,000. It may be something. We can certainly look at, again, our federal funding. We have really 3 months left of the CARES Act 2 federal funding. So it'll get us from July 1st through the end of September. And then we have 1 more year of the American Rescue Plan. So we can further examine kind of many of those funds we use to fund salaries. We can further examine that and look at those versus the general fund and how we contribute to fund balance. So there may be some savings there as well. But really, the most effective way to probably do this is through the use of reserves. We have 7 reserves, 6 of which we can use up there. The 7th is the capital reserve. We obviously can't use that capital reserve for this, but we could certainly use those reserves that are listed up there in terms of kind of closing that gap. You can see the balances. I don't want to read the balances to you, but we have a total reserve balance of $5,299,323 in those 6 reserves. The capital reserve is about $2.6 million right now. Can't use that. I would also tell you, remind you that we used at the end of the budget last year, just because we didn't have the entire service employees contract budgeted for, nor did we expect the significant increase that we received in contracted transportation, that we made a recommendation to you to carry forth about $1.57 million in unassigned fund balance. The budget has been performing very well this year. I would anticipate we will not have to touch that $1.57 million, and that $1.57 million would then ultimately go back into the reserves. So given that information, and given that we only need to trim $1.1 million, I really think that it makes an awful lot of sense to pursue a budget that is tax neutral. I don't know, Mr. Jesse, can you go to the next slide? This really, and then I guess I can entertain some questions, but these are really the next steps of kind of where we go. And this kind of frames things up. So we need to determine, where you want to go as a board in terms of the overall tax levy and the tax cap. Do we want to go right to the cap? Do we want to go to the balanced budget of the cap? Or do we want to look at a tax neutral budget? We also need to continue to monitor any updates on sales tax projections. I think that that's an area that we could probably pick up a couple $100,000 to close the gap. We need to continue to monitor the contract negotiations, further examine the flexibility of federal funds and our salary lines. I'll go back in and I'll look at our health trust and see if we can pick up any money there. But then we would come back to you and obviously present to you a balanced budget at the April 11th study session, and then you would approve the board, presumably approve the budget on April the 18th. So in essence, I think that's my last slide. But if you have any questions, I really strongly believe, and I don't know, Mr. Nastri, if you have any comments along with that.
Yeah.
If there's ever a time for us to do this, I think that this is the time.
So
to do
you're
it.
comfortable with going into the reserves? Because I know in the past, we've been, protective of it because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm comfortable just because of the fact that we have that extra $1.5 million sitting there that we could utilize from the unassigned fund balance this year that would go into reserves anyways. Plus, I would also add that the budget's performing well because of the federal funds, that we would see surplus above and beyond that.
What are the implications for next year then? If we tax cap wise, are there any implications?
There's no implications. The tax cap would continue. We do the same thing again. It's just, it's tough because for us, we've realized a significant amount of dollars, not only from the federal government, but now from the state, that again, I think that you're not going to see I would expect that our building aid would remain the same. I would expect that our transportation aid would remain the same. And I would expect that our foundation aid would be close. So from that standpoint, and given where we are in the economy now, to me, it just makes an awful lot of sense. Brian, you had a question.
You said the 1.5 from last year.
Yep.
So there's if I just look at this in terms of cash, let's say there's 1.5 million of unused funds.
Yep.
That would go into a reserve or a part of the
Unassigned. Mm-hmm.
And then.
Well, we'd have to make a determination as to what we would want to do with that. Again, remember, we've gone above that mandated 4% on the unassigned fund balance, really for two reasons. One was the flexibility that it provided us this year because of the unknown of the service employee contract and the contracted transportation. But two, we carry forward 105H monies that go right into that unassigned fund balance. So ultimately, the 105H monies, we would continue to do that, but that extra, that 1.5-ish million dollars, we would have to make collectively as a board a decision as to what we wanted to do with that. You could leave it there. You could put it into reserves. Ultimately, I think that if you put it into reserves, the balances that I showed you in a couple slides ago, they would remain the same, and it would be a neutral impact to the balances of reserves.
And just so I want to make sure I understand this, what you're proposing as going to a tax neutral, let's say we go there, does that mean that, because every year usually there's an unassigned balance still of some number, 4, 5, 6%, correct? Does neutral mean that there's still that balance, or would neutral eliminate that?
No. We would still have the balance. We would still maintain our 4% and our unassigned fund balance.
So that
it just simply means tax neutral simply means that we wouldn't increase our tax levy from where we are presently.
But I just think that's noteworthy, right? Because that's the reason that exists, is to provide additional cushion as well. So I think, I know with public versus private sector view it differently, but there is a buffer there, even going tax neutral.
So correct. We carry forward an unassigned fund balance of 4%. We also have an assigned fund balance that we carry forward every year of $2.4 million. So I feel I wouldn't make the recommendation if I didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussions, and I appreciate Don and his team's work on the budget. With the increase in revenues the way they are, this is the year that we've finally become fully funded with foundation aid, and that has been a significant increase in there. So after reviewing the reserves and reviewing our position there, we just felt that this was the time to make this proposal, and this was the right time to do it, knowing that now that we're fully funded, we expect more minimal increases in the years to come with foundation aid and state aid. But like to Mr. Johnson's point, we could see increases due to an increase in enrollment, which we're projected to have an increase in enrollment over the next 10 years.
I would
So-
also add to that, we have a significant, I would expect at some point in time that we would start to see a significant amount of teacher retirements that would potentially save us. Mr. Belmonte, you had a question.
Well, so two things. One, with the foundation aid, there is earmarked money for that high impact tutoring.
That's correct.
So if the legislature in the two-house budget removed that, would that help us more? Because that
Well,
$400,000 would be put actually into the foundation aid and wouldn't be
earmarked
earmarked
for tutoring, yes,
tutoring.
that's
That,
correct.
and if
Well,
the,
Sorry, go ahead.
no,
you finish.
go ahead. You-
No, we've counted it as foundation aid, so it wouldn't have an impact here. As far as that goes, it would just have an impact on how we used it.
Okay. And then, well, the other thing that I know that there was a push for in the two-house budget is for, and it was in there last year, and we thought it was going to go through, was the salary aid formula for BOCES. That would impact significantly our revenue, right? Or it would help, it would,
The cap,
the cap, yeah.
I don't know how much of an impact it would really have. It's tough to say. I don't know. And I don't know.
That is one thing that it seems to be proposed year after year after year, but it
Yeah.
never goes through. And then it's hard to determine what the overall impact would be. There's strong
I wanna say
lobbying
last year was
for it.
like, I know that of the 19 component districts at Erie One BOCES, it would have saved the district close to I think 7 million. I think was the number that was used.
Okay.
So,
It might,
I mean, I don't know what
from
I
a,
mean, it's 19 components, so I don't know. what-
yeah, and that's where those administrative costs that I
Right.
talked to you about, like we saw an increase of about, I don't know, between the two, the BOCES administrative costs, we spend about, it's about $450,000. So if that was capped in some stretch of the imagination, that I don't know what that number would mean. I don't know if it would have a huge impact on our overall budget.
Is there a negative side to going neutral?
It's money that you'll never get back.
So Rick Timms will hate us for it.
I mean, it's money, and again, it's because the tax cap calculation is based upon the basis of your tax cap calculation is the levy that you have in your current year. So in other words, the basis, Mike, can you go back? Can you just go back there to the tax cap? So that top line, right, line A, that is our current levy. So that is the basis of our tax cap. If that number remains flat, it would increase, only minimally. If we were to go to $54.5 million, that number, that's $1.5 million that we would see. It's just money that because it builds from year to year, it's money that you won't recoup. But again, it's hard for me, like 24% increase in foundation aid, 24% increase, over $6 million. Like our budget right now is an increase of 8%. That's a big increase in a budget. Like this past year, we were under 4. So now I know many of again, we are also operating under an 8 to 9% inflation rate. We've seen increases in contractual obligations, but things like utilities and such, it's been a challenge for us, but I feel as though, we've had support of our community since 1977. 1977, they've helped us tremendously with a lot of things, including capital improvement project votes. And they made it easy for us to get through a pandemic, quite honestly. And I think that just again, based upon where we are with the revenues, it just makes sense.
And I want to piggyback off of what Mr. Feldman said, and I know I this is my second year in the district, but last year we were still COVID response and the support that people gave us during that time to operate school, fully functioning school was tremendous.
People are hurting now. I mean, with inflation, I think.
Yeah.
I think the points you made are perfect. There's no better time for us to do it.
Right.
I have to commend you and your staff for putting together that budget and present us.
Does anybody have any feelings otherwise? Any other thoughts or comments? I don't know.
Is Josh in there?
He's here. Josh, do you have any
No,
comments?
I don't have any. You know, that Rick Timms comment that comes out all the time, you know, that works on both sides of the equation, right? It's money that we'll never get back, but if we use it now when we really don't need it, and I emphasize the word need, sure, we could find a way to spend it, but if we don't need it, it's money that the taxpayers will never get back. I mean, that argument works both ways.
Yeah, and I'll just also just kind of piggyback on what Josh had said. You all read the report from the state controller's office. One of the things that we got cited on was that, you know, our reserves and our use of reserves. And I think this situation is exactly the situation that the reserves are designed for. And I just feel strongly about that. It's the right time to do this.
So are you looking for just, are we in agreement?
Well, I'm looking for, if that's the direction that you want me to proceed, we'll proceed in that direction. We'll take a closer look at, again, our federal funding. We'll take a closer look at sales tax. We'll take a closer look at, what was the last thing that I wanted to look at? I don't remember, but we'll look at it all and we'll come back to you with what we think is a balanced budget in April, utilizing the reserves. Like I honestly see, Mike, sorry, could I have you just go back to the reserve slides? Like my mind right now is at a situation where we would utilize the ERS and the TRS reserves, because those are two of our big from an expense standpoint, those are two of our bigger contributions. And I would anticipate, like my recommendation would be at the end, when we come in August, presumably the budget goes through, that we would make contributions from our surplus for this year into those two reserve accounts, as well as to our capital reserve fund, to start to build some equity in that capital reserve fund to potentially replace the turf down the line, and then to kind of offset some costs for our next capital improvement project, because it's trending in a direction that it's going to be a bigger one than the one that we're currently in.
I would just also add, when the person who's in charge of making sure that everything's getting paid, and you know, if there are any financial issues, generally your finance person is the most conservative, the one who's if there's a problem, the stress is going to fall on him. And so from my perspective, for me to say not to do this when you're recommending it would almost feel like, you know, being greedy at this point. So
That's what I've been thinking this whole time, is that we're charged with responsible stewardship. And I think this goes to show that when we have budgets where we increase the tax cap, it is an act of responsible stewardship, because when we don't need to, we're able to find ways to.
Well, and I also feel, Kaylee, your point's well taken. We're adding to the budget. We're adding significant staff to the budget. And it's, I mean, and we're not really, it's a win-win, because we're enhancing our program and coming back to the community, saying doing it without a tax impact.
Yeah. Bravo.
Move forward.
Hold on.
Yes.
Any other questions at all? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for all the work done.
Sure.
So just a reminder, we have 2 more traveling board meetings to go. Heritage Heights, we will be at next Tuesday. I'm looking forward to that visit. And then Glendale as our last traveling board meeting on April 11th. Wanted to give you just a quick update on where we are with our auditorium. Those are pictures as of Thursday or Friday of last week, maybe Friday of last week. The back wall you see in this picture right here has been redone and painted and ready to go. The catwalk has been installed in the cafeteria, in the auditorium. Work continues on a daily basis where we're going. And so you see some of the structural pieces that are in place, the walls being done. We're on track, on time, on budget for a September 1st opening, and kind of excited to move forward. And I don't know, Don, if I missed anything or.
No, in addition to the high school auditorium, it is going to be a very, very busy summer for us.
Yeah.
We are going to be in the high school, the middle school. The cafeteria is getting completely redone at the middle school. Glendale and Maplemere are going to be touched extensively. Some outdoor door work at Heritage Heights, some minor HVAC work at Willow Ridge. Really, the only building that's not going to be touched is Dexter. And the service center, we're still kind of working through some punch list stuff, but it is an aggressive schedule. It's one that I'm thankful that we have campus and our team in place. Because there's a lot of balls in the air right now, and they're making it work. And the auditorium is going to be something special. I can't wait.
Has supply issues been a problem?
There have been. I'm not going to lie. There have been a number of things related to HVAC equipment, but and some electrical equipment. But we have, with Campus Construction Management, they just kind of pivot and they go, we can't do this, we'll do this. So they are doing their best to keep us on schedule.
Little delay in steel, there was steel
Some
and
steel
some
delays,
light
yeah.
and sound as
Yeah.
we're watching closely.
But it's going to be a busy summer.
Are we hosting summer, are
I
we
was
having
just
summer
gonna say
school?
summer
Where is
school.
it?
So summer school will take place at Willow Ridge
Yep.
and here at the high school.
Okay.
Okay. And we're gonna do, sorry, I don't mean to, we'll do there's a Town of Amherst Explorers Camp that's traditionally been at the middle school. They'll be at Dexter. And then our after-school program, Just for Kids, will run a day camp at Heritage Heights. So we can work around the.
And so we've been working diligently from the Building Use Committee on down to talk to our community about new proposed start and stop times for the 23-24 school year. Mr. Kennedy is here tonight in case there's any more questions. I know we've presented this to you. I just want to thank again the work of the Building Use Committee, who met 5 times as a large group. Every stakeholder group was represented on that committee, from board member, administration, teacher, parent, special education, and in district office. So every stakeholder group in the district was represented in making these recommendations and vetting the ideas. Mr. Kennedy worked doubly hard to take some of our ideas back to his office and vet them through his software and his programs and his math to make sure our ideas would work. And we've done the tour at PTOs and PTA meetings. We have one more tomorrow night at Glendale to go. We were at Heritage last night. A lot of great questions from our community, but the most important thing is I think they understand that we have a transportation crisis and that this decision needs to be made in order to ease the concern and the strain on transportation from mainly our daily runs to get students back and forth to school on time and in an efficient manner, but also to add some extra curricular runs at the end of the day. So that's very important as the committee was focused on moving forward and trying to give students the whole Sweet Home experience, that all of those things are into consideration. The schedule in front of you contains the same amount of instructional minutes, the same length of teacher day that we currently have now. And so that was also important as one of the side subcommittees from the big committee took the numbers and made sure that we weren't losing any time and that the day would stay the same for contractual reasons. Again, the order of the runs are the same, where the proposal is to stagger the elementary times with Glendale and Heritage running 25 buses, Maple Mirror, Willow Ridge running 25 buses. And of course, looking to always tweak as we go on in the process. But we're asking the board to vote next week. And if it moves forward, then we'll get to work and plugging it all in and making sure that the times are good. And we're in a good spot with the times, but making sure that it works for our entire community, all students in the district.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
That the new transportation software.
Sure.
My understanding was that there was a lot of work to get the information inputted into that software. Once that's done, does that allow for different iterations, or is it like every time that needs to happen? The reason I'm asking is because, and I understand the committee did a lot of work and effort into this, and I appreciate all that. It's just, I will say the most disappointing part of this process, and it's again, not that it's anyone's, we're all trying to do the best we can. It's kind of a no solutions ideal, but it's just, it's frustrating to see the high school have to open so, even earlier, when we know that a lot of, there's a lot of indications that there's benefits for that starting later. One, the younger kids, at least from my experience with my kids, they're up so early anyways. But I understand this was the ideal solution. I guess I'm just hoping, and you've kind of alluded to this, the idea that we would continue to tweak and look at, if there are alternatives, that I understand we need to do something, but I want us to keep working at it.
You
So-
said we're going to revisit this.
Yeah,
So
the committee is
it's
going to stay in existence for probably eternity as we have these of transportation and building use issues. That was a point that was discussed at every meeting, I believe, about the concern about the high school start time. No question. I think what the committee came to the realization was three things. We wanted to be as least disruptive to the current schedule as possible. So shifting where the high school is compared to where the elementary and middle school is was something that was much discussed, but we felt very disruptive to work schedules. The other piece of that is that the high school being let out early, those students then continue on the same schedule for their athletic, extracurricular clubs. And so we didn't want to disrupt that. And then third, we talked about a lot of the older students being home for younger siblings for when they come home. So we thought a major shift like that might be as we start down this road, might be very disruptive for the families. I did receive emails from concerned parents about that. But they understood when I explained to them the rationale behind the decision and what the committee discussed. So going back to the point where I think this committee will stay in existence for many years into the future. One of the things we're going to look at for sure at the high school is absenteeism and tardiness. And we're going to study that this year to make sure those numbers aren't increasing due to even an earlier start time. So absolutely, Mr. Leibel, that was discussed a lot, but we just felt that change would be very, very disruptive to students and their families.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's good to just the fact, everything you mentioned, it's just nice and worthwhile because there is no ideal perfect solution. You're trying to balance something with limited resources and there's to some degree it's compromise.
Yes, absolutely.
Things you win and there's things you got to give. So thank you.
And when you say you received from parents, I want our community to know, we're not talking hundreds of parents, we're talking
12,
12?
13 emails. Yep. I categorized them all in an Excel sheet. I would say 3 or 4 of them about high school start times. Some were concerned about their own work schedules for sure. I had an email from a principal of a private school wondering if their schedule would change. It would not. It would not change. So those were the major categories where I received some concern.
Any thought about adding people who do have a concern with their work schedule to get the kids in there, for the
Yep.
program we
Yep.
have now?
So we're working with Just for Kids, and seeing, it all depends on enrollment in a before school program. If parents want to enroll their student in a before school program for an early drop off, they will add staff and will accommodate us depending on what the enrollment is. But we don't expect a big influx with only a 20-minute shift. And so again, being least disruptive to families was an important point for the committee.
So if parents wanted to take advantage of that,
Call us,
call you.
Yep.
And
call district office, and we will talk and get their name on a list.
great, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. High school musical this weekend, the 17th, 18th, and 19th, 7:30, and 2 p.m. The production is Grease. They're doing a great job getting the word out there. Get your tickets now. I think there's a number they published on the website, but you can, for $10 early admittance and $12 at the door. So really excited to see that. That will be at the middle school, of course, because the high school auditorium is under construction.
Grease is the word, right?
Grease is the word. I left this up here. This is the same slide, but UPK enrollment is happening all this week. Registration is happening all this week. So we'll have by the end of this week better numbers of where we are. And I will say we're a little surprised. Enrollment is pretty much staying steady to where it is this year. So we might not have to add a lot of rooms around the district, but we are prepared to do that if enrollment does increase. But we're seeing a pretty flat number right now. But it's still early in the spring, and we expect throughout the summer. But we are prepared if we have to add rooms. We know where they're going to go, and we have a contingency even if we don't have space here at Sweet Home. We're still working with Four Seasons and possible additions of space with them as well. So enrollment's still going on, and it's awesome to see our 3-year-olds about to be 4-year-olds continually file into Virgil's to register for UPK full day here at Sweet Home. And Superintendent Conference Day, we're going to focus is this week. It's Friday. There are no classes for students on Friday, but we are excited to continue on with our discussion on DEI with our faculty, staff. It'll be happening in every building in the district. Mrs. Bayless has done a great job organizing the program. She's worked with Miss Wilson and Miss Shaibi on just a very comprehensive, very detailed program for the day. Do you want to talk about the focus areas?
Sure. So we're looking to dovetail on our previous work. We want to make sure that we're always revisiting the work that we've done in the past. So we'll recap and review the key points from the fall day, which were revolved around having safe conversations, the dialogue versus debate conversation, talking about social identity and the danger of a single story. And then we're going to move into identity or cultural identity, cultural humility, and cultural proficiency. So we're looking to set it up very similar. It's a 3-hour session. We're running the sessions across the district in the morning and then repeating them again in the afternoon. We're going to hit all buildings, all departments, all members of our entire organization are participating. We're giving it the same feel as we had for the last conference day. That people appreciated and they enjoyed the flow of the last conference day. So we've set it up very similar to add similar types of activities, interaction, types of time for reflection, team building, as well as delivering new content. So we're excited about it. Our entire administrative team, including our supervisors, Mr. Kennedy as well, our entire team is involved in presenting, and they've all been training. We trained last week together as a cabinet And this week, all of the pairings who are presenting together have been working together to co-present their work for their sessions. We have service employees who are presenting, teachers who are also presenting, members of our DEI committee. So it's a very comprehensive day involving every member of our stakeholder, all members of our school community. We're very excited about it. Looking forward to Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all I have for tonight. And anybody got any questions? Okay.
All right, sounds good. So moving on, we've got a lot of events coming up. And already looking at spring recess. I like that. Okay, next, let's go through our new business. We'll vote on this next week. Rules for use of optical scan voting machines. Any questions?
Can I just say, every year this comes up?
It
and
does.
I think it means retina scans, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? It doesn't mean retina
doesn't.
scans. It never does. It freaks me out every time.
Thank you, Kate.
That's all.
Annual public hearing and district vote advertisement, including the proposition for our budget. C, special education. I'm still working through those, but I'll have them done by next week. D is our monthly financials, which we'll have by next week. E is disposal of obsolete property. What are we getting rid of this time?
I don't.
Really oddball.
It was
Hoyer
something
lift.
different.
Yeah.
Hoyer is what they used for
Yeah,
special
get people
needs,
out of bed, yeah.
to get people out of.
There was
And
something.
Oh, and an
Archery
archery target.
A what?
because-
Yeah, archery target.
Archery
That was
target, because it was too
Okay.
beat up.
Okay. And always something interesting. Next is F, revised policy, second reading of those policies. Any questions? G is revised policy, first reading. And again, I want to say thank you to the policy committee. I mean, you guys, we get, month after month, we're hearing about the work you're doing, so thank you. Board of Education nominees for BOCES.
For that one, I mean,
So-
we've only had the two nominations.
We've only had
that
the
are
two
current.
nominations, right?
Sherry, we haven't seen any other names, right? Okay. I know we haven't individually gotten any, so
No, I haven't.
I would,
gotten
I would assume we would just put forth John Sherman and
Just,
Janet.
just the two
Janet
of them,
Clark.
right? Okay.
Or not.
I is our start and end times. J is our bids for transportation and office supply. Stop me if any questions. K is our extracurricular activity. The Glendale PE Club wants to open a
I
account.
saw that. I'm curious. What are they gonna do? Any idea?
They might look at doing things like the Girls on the Run kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Boys and Girls on the Run type stuff, but they're looking to do some of those types of things.
Well, I know they did that several years ago. That'd be great to see come back. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks, Don.
L is our Secor, our capital outlay project. Any questions? And then M, Maplemere temporary classroom lease renewal. Okay, so we're good for another year.
We're trying.
Any questions on any of those items? All right, that takes us to informational. Musa.
Hi, everyone. So, student government, the last 3 months, ever since the beginning of January, student government has really been focusing on that Maplemere presentation that we talked about. And it went really well. Our team worked really hard and we put together a presentation. I'm really proud of our committee, the committee chairs that were on that committee and also the senators that were on the committee because it turned out to be a really great experience for them. Both like us as a student government in the high school and also the children at Maplemere. It was very informative. It was fun. There were prizes that were being handed out and it was very interactive. And it was, we were teaching them and they were learning, but it was very game-like and it was just a really great experience for them. And it was a great bonding experience as well for our student government members who participated in it. And so, as I said, the last couple of months have been focused on that. So now that we're past that event, we're starting to get back into the flow of doing stuff outside of that. Our next priority right now is to fill a Senate vacancy because Connie Chen unfortunately had to move to Williamsville. And so now we have a vacancy in our Senate. And so we're holding a private election inside of student government. The election is going to be held at our meeting next week. And hopefully we get to get a new senator to fill that vacancy. We also had Multicultural Week. I believe it was last week. And it was a pretty good week. We had, to be honest, it was, I'll take responsibility for it, but there wasn't as much advocacy for the week as there should have been. However, we did have a good amount of participation in the week towards the end of the week as people found out a bit more about it, which is good because once the actual Multicultural Day came and people got to dress up in their cultural garb, and that was really nice to see. We also had 2 multicultural nights. There was one on March 2nd, which was the performances. There was singing in different languages. There was dancing. It was just a really great experience for everyone involved. There was also the one on March 9th. There was the one at Heritage Heights, and there was also one at the high school. And student government members went and helped and volunteered at both of them. And it was just a really cool experience for everyone involved. As I said, the Senate vacancy, we're hoping to fill it by next week so we can continue to move forward with all of our objectives for the year. And lastly, well, we already talked about it, but Greece is this weekend. So a lot of my friends are doing it, and I've seen, firsthand all of the work that they put into it. So I really hope that everyone goes because it's going to be a really good show.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Let's see, over the last couple of weeks, I've been to Albany for some legislative meetings. I've met with Assembly members McMahon and Conroy and Senators Kennedy and Ryan. Talked about foundation aid, APPR returning to local control, universal school meals for all students. So pitching them, hopefully, I'm interested to see where the 2-house budget comes in with if there's any variations or changes from the governor's budget. So
thank you. On to Albany.
Oh yeah, twice in 2 weeks, back and forth. And then just some upcoming things. We have a PTA meeting at Glendale tomorrow, the play this weekend, and there's also a baseball fundraiser, Sweet Home baseball fundraiser on Sunday afternoon.
All right, thank you, Peter. Scott.
Okay, we had a DEI committee meeting on the 27th of February. It was another good meeting. We always get rolling in our talks and find it tough to get out of there. I know no matter how hard Joanne pushes us to stay on schedule, but it was another good meeting. Lots of good conversations there. Sorry, I gotta hit this stuff. I went to a Buffalo area educational institution thing put together by Harris Beach. It was for 6 hours on March 2nd. It was great. They had 4 different sessions over the course of the day put on by different members of their staff. I just got an email. Actually, I just found an email because for some reason it landed in my junk mail. So I want to forward that to you guys. It actually gives the presentation that they gave me and some links to the videos of the whole thing. I know they had a remote version, but I understand they had some issues with that. But it was overall, it was a good presentation. I know Fanoon was there too. I didn't get a chance to talk to her though to see what she thought of it, but I thought they made a lot of good points, a lot of good information. Kind of bouncing around here. We all did the super eval training last week, which I thought went really well. We had our policy committee meeting also went, and that's it.
Great. Kaylee.
I attended the DEI committee, the big committee, last week. Time flies. And that was great. We got a preview of what's going to be going on Friday. We had a discussion about how Sweet Home sees Columbus Day kind of situated in our future calendars. That was a really good conversation. And we talked about cultural proficiency. And we had we also ran out of time. We run out of time every meeting. But that was great. And that's, the legislative meeting is this Thursday.
Yeah.
I also won't be able to make that. I have to pick up my grandma from the airport.
I'm unfortunately not going to make it either. I'm going to the Journey concert. Sorry, it took a higher priority.
With Toto.
You going?
I'm working.
Oh, well, but goody. All right,
That's all for me.
that's all. Josh, I don't want to miss you. How you doing?
Some favorites.
I'm doing well. Working out of Pittsburgh has made it a little bit difficult to attend things, so I don't have much to offer this week. Thank you, though.
You're here in spirit. All right, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to wait till next week to, just because this is usually a longer session, next week shorter. The only thing I will mention is with Greece coming up, I just hope the high school students remember, Olivia Newton-John passed away
Oh,
recently and was obviously a star in the movie. So it's kind of fitting that it's this year. I'll also mention that I have relatives from other districts attending Greece because it's attracted, it's a very popular
Yes.
musical.
Sounds good. Thank you. Amy.
I had a PTSA meeting last week for middle school, and that a good portion of our meeting was discussing the start and stop times, which doesn't really affect that building as much as it does others, but we talked for quite some time. And that was pretty much the length of the meeting. We also had a visit with, and I'm sorry, Don, what is her name?
Hiding Nicholas Lefebvre from the Northwest Amherst Community Center.
So she was there and spoke with the everybody that was there. There wasn't a whole ton of us, but she's making her rounds to all of the PTAs to kind of listen. It's a listening tour on what more our district and our community thinks the community center can provide. So, she talked a lot about the things they've already checked boxes. They already have plans. But what else do we need? So there was some good conversation around that. People just kind of throwing some things out. She took some notes. She can't wait to come back. She's very excited as to where we're going. So
Our
that
next
was,
meeting, we're going to be actually talking about mission statement and what we've prepared for
she
that.
did mention that. She did mention that they're rolling on, they're rolling and ready to go.
Rolling.
Because she is like,
She's a
it's
dynamo.
time, let's do it. So she's that was very good to see and hear what she had to say. Other than that, the superintendent eval.
Did everybody already go on and see if they could get in? And
Yeah.
it was
So I
fairly
I
easy.
still haven't gotten an email
Oh,
from him with my password, unless I haven't looked through my
I went
spam.
It wasn't
Answer is
from,
no.
it was from Super Eval. It didn't have a name on it.
I,
Still
he,
nothing?
and they
Okay.
gave me the date and there was nothing on the date and he said he was gonna send it after the training and I still haven't gotten anything. I don't know if he
Okay.
didn't hear me when he said that I didn't get the email, but
I went on from that one you sent or you referenced and.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else not receive? Okay, we all good? Josh, you good? Okay.
Other than that, I didn't have anything else. I did want to mention that it is the first week of spring sports, regardless of what the weather looks like today. But it is the kickoff to spring. So as winter winds down and spring kicks off, I
Oh,
can't believe it's
please.
this far into the year, but here we are.
I'm just thankful we're not at the other end of the state or in Vermont where the,
Oh, or in Albany. or-
yeah, where the snow is now into
Places, yeah.
the multiple feet.
I had family flying in today from Florida and I was quite panicky all day, like, okay, the first flight delayed 2 hours, but they made their connection and ultimately only landed 20 minutes late. So
That's good.
it worked out well, but Other than that, no, I'm good.
All right, thank you. We had the Heritage Heights PTA meeting yesterday. We had distinguished guests there talking about the bus schedule. A lot of good questions too.
Yes, very good.
And you guys really did a great job answering those questions. Their international night was very successful, and Mr. Perry talked about really pushing those 7 habits and out to families, more communication out to families, so they start to learn the terms and the verbiage and, you know, really able to understand what the kids are coming home saying, so. And they had a good spirit week. There's a meat raffle April 15th. We've all mentioned the musical already, but my husband and I are somewhat of musical groupies. So we go around, we make out a spreadsheet, we go around the entire area. There's some amazing talent. And one of those amazing talents is Mr. Feldman's son, who was in Beauty and the Beast out at Frontier.
He's got a big enough head already.
But he needs to be recognized. The talent around Western New York is just fabulous. And then we end it in May when we go to the Kenny Awards, which is downtown at Shays to present awards to the kids. So some real talent in Western New York. So, all right. Let's see what else we got going here. Okay, next is our next open session. Any takers? See anybody else? He's looking through. Okay, good. Next is personnel, teaching and administrative, as well as service for next week. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Josh says aye. Thanks for joining us, Josh.
Thanks for bringing me in.